Folks, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. HeirofCarthage here, and I am back in Total War Warhammer 3, and today we're going to be discussing something that CA changed. I'll have a little bit of campaign gameplay going on here in the background. I will be playing it, while I talk here, so I may be a little inactive at moments, but I figure it's just more exciting than a screen of me showing you a web page. I wanted to talk about a change that was made in patch 2.2. So this is continuing the patch 2.2 coverage that I started yesterday with the Regiment of Renown overview. If you haven't seen that one yet, I recommend you go check it out. It seemed pretty well received. Now we're going to talk about another big change that was made, and it was where CA... I'll read you the dev note, okay? So here's the dev note. It says, we continue to look for a sweet spot for the Unwalled settlement battle type. The following changes will adjust the frequency of the battle type and reduce it. How much will depend on the players and also the AI's playstyle. Additionally, we have lost some of the more detailed and nuanced pieces of content when we transition from Mortal Empires to IE, but are in the process of re-adding some of this flavor. So, I don't know what that last statement really meant. We've lost some of the more detailed and nuanced pieces of content when we transition. Maybe that means there's still maps and art and other stuff that they haven't brought over yet as far as map variety, because map variety was something that was kind of slowly being improved over time in Mortal Empires, and maybe that continued here. So I don't know. Here's what I have to say. Let me read you what they're going to do first, and then I'll share my thoughts with you. But I would also very much like to have you all go in the comments and share your thoughts. So listen to this, and then make sure to go down and tell me what you think in the comments. All major settlements will retain their walled settlement battles. So basically that's not going to change. All minor settlements, now this is the unwalled settlements, will now trigger a land battle by default. So basically they just threw out minor settlement battles as a default. Now, added an effect that has a chance to turn the default land battle into an unwalled settlement battle. It's similar to the wall effect on major settlements leading to walled settlement battles. It says it's been added to the garrison starting at tier 2 and 3. So if you have a garrison building at tier 2 or tier 3 and a minor settlement, it has a chance to trigger a unwalled settlement battle. But it could also just be a land battle.
I will lead the Asa.
I don't know. Just giving my 2 cents on this. CA, this is not the way. Like, this is not the way to do it. So first of all, let me voice some frustration with the general Total War player base first. And this is a frustration of mine. This is not me, like, yelling at people or saying, get out of my game or get off my lawn. That's not what I'm saying, okay? This is just a frustration of mine. People complained non-stop whenever we didn't have minor settlement battles in Warhammer 2. CA, how lazy. How come you don't have the minor settlement battles? Why don't you add the minor settlement? There should be minor settlement battles. I missed that. It should be there. There was just this huge chorus of people demanding that we get minor settlement battles. And to be fair, we probably should have minor settlement battles, okay? CA takes the time to add it to the game, and then people start to experience stuff like towers. They don't like towers. The towers are annoying. They build back constantly. They're constantly have to fight them. Barricades are building constantly, and then all of a sudden, no one wants minor settlement battles in the game again. Everybody starts complaining about minor settlement battles, and so now CA kind of rubber banding between the effect, rubber bands all the way backwards, and doesn't get rid of the unwalled settlement battles, but very close to gets rid of it.
Command.
And this is not the way to do it. Now, it sounds like this is temporary, and so that's why I'm not going to really just freak out about this, because it sounds like they're working towards something different. In my opinion, the right way to fix this over the temporary was to just temporarily have an option on the beginning of the screen when you're going into a campaign that turns off towers and barricades. Just turn it off. Let the player choose whether they want to use that mechanic right now while you work on a rework for it. I don't think people would have such a big issue with minor settlement battles if, one, you could turn off the goofy building in the middle of the battle, right? Maybe even if you built at the beginning of the battle, most people wouldn't have a problem with that, but building in the middle of the battle, they don't like. So if you had a way to turn that off, toggle it off, people would like that. 2, you just need map variety. I think that's another reason why people are getting frustrated with minor settlement battles with the unwalled settlements, because there just isn't enough variety. There needs to be more variety, and that can be added over time. That's not going to be something that just is suddenly in the game. It's going to be something that comes with time, kind of like it did in Warhammer 2. So, in my opinion, that's the way you fix it. Not just variety, though. I mentioned a long time ago that in order to make these minor settlement battles and siege battles as a whole more interesting, the CA was going to need to make the maps unique to the faction who is fighting on it, and we still don't really see that. We have a few flavors of these minor settlement maps and a few flavors of the major settlement maps, and they're all roughly the same. The problem with this is that they're not tailored to fight to the style that the faction fights in. So like Bretonnia, for instance, has these minor settlement maps, they have the walled settlement maps, and none of them allow Bretonnia to make use of their cavalry, which is Bretonnia's one and only strength as a faction. And so I still think that that is really the problem. And CA is not going to be able to address that overnight. They're not going to be able to change it overnight. They're going to have to do it slowly over time by really taking a look at the map design and adding those in slowly over time. They could, if they wanted to, maybe reach out for help from modders, and modders might be able to assist them in accomplishing this by having them help build maps and submit ideas and other stuff as well. I don't know how CA would like something like that. Maybe they don't. You know, I don't know exactly what their take on that would be, but I do think that it is a way for them to help with that situation. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I think that's how they should fix it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of their notes here. It says the below exceptions should remain as they were before. Major settlements in Norska, Ogre homelands still do not provide walled sieges, but will change to unwalled settlements, so those factions just don't use walls. Wood Elf Glades still don't have walls. That makes sense. Wood Elf Outposts still don't have walls. Beastmen Herdstones still don't have walls. That makes sense. They did some additional changes too. It says added a unit of Reiksguard at Castle Reich, and adjusted at Reichsfort to 1 Reiksguard instead of 2. Ogres had access to both garrison chains and minor and majors. Now there's correctly only 1 available. And then they made some changes here too. Missing siege defense tower projectile upgrades have been added for Kislev, Ogres, Nurgle. Heroes have been added to settlement garrisons when you unlock those buildings for Khorne, Tomb Kings, Bretonnia at Tier 3, Cathay, Demon Prince, Nurgle, Ogre, Slaanesh, and Drika. So all of those are going to have, and it says finally additional units at all tiers for special settlement locations. 3 to 4 units of higher quality have been added to the following: Khemri, Lamia, Black Pyramid, Tor of Rest, Karak 8 Peaks, Hell Peak, Gaian Vale, Hexadal, Itza, Karazakarak, Lothern, Nagron, Skaven Blight, Altdorf, Drakenhof, Coronum, Weijin. So those are some big changes to the wall. There are more changes I want to discuss. They have supposedly made changes to the AI and aggression and game difficulty. I'll address that. I'm going to be addressing a few other things coming up as the coverage of Patch 2 continues. I know I didn't actually do anything terribly interesting in the background while I was playing this. Maybe next time I'll have a battle ready to go or something in the background, just so y'all can see it. But again, I didn't want to just have writing in the background. But anyway, you all tell me what you think. I'm very less than excited for that change. I don't think this is the right way to do it. I don't think it's an utter disaster, because again, it sounds like it's temporary and they are working on something else. That's why I'm putting my 2 cents in here now. I think they just really need to work on the map variety and then find a way to, again, in the temporary, just have a toggle switch, get rid of the building towers in the middle of battles at the beginning of a campaign, and then in the long term, figure out what you want to do with that, right? Do they stay in? Do they go? What do you want to do? But otherwise, I think that the minor settlement battles are a good add to the game. There's just not enough maps, and those maps are not built for the factions who are using them. And honestly, I think if you change that, you should be good to go. That's my 2 cents. I want you all to add your thoughts. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I hope to hear some feedback from you all. I'll see you again soon with some more coverage in Total War Warhammer 3.